What's the biggest video number-wise?
There's a short video of a biryani that would have collectively 200 million views. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? And can you work it out? Why that one? Because that's the kicker, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in India, and I'm cooking their national dish.
Okay.
And did an okay job of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So clearly, big audience in India, right, for you?
Yeah.
Massive.
What's the split?
So the US is the biggest for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, followed by Australia.
Oh, it depends on the platform. Each platform is
in
different.
general, but general US, Australia,
UK,
Germany.
Why not? Morning, TK.
Hi, Pete. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Fantastic.
Got a couple of people with us today.
We have.
First time ever we've got two people. Caitlin and Andy. Hello.
Unbelievable. How good. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
For those that don't know Andy, you've obviously been living under a rock. But for those that don't know Kaitlin, she is the infamous Babe.
That is me.
How do you feel about that?
I don't mind.
Mixed
to be
feelings?
honest. Yes. It's not a bad thing that 15 million people don't know your actual name. I don't mind it at all.
So there's name droppers and there's number droppers. So there we go.
Yeah.
Started off strong. I like it. 15 million, is that where it's at across the platforms?
Across the platform. Yeah, probably more. Yeah, probably pushing to 16 now.
So I suppose there's a couple of parts of where we want to chat about today. And for the first thing for me is like, how did this start? Like the first video, the first idea, whose idea was it? Is someone going to claim it? Are you guys pointed at each other, or how did it all come about?
Can I interrupt and start with this one, please?
Let's digress.
There goes the script.
Hold that question.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, you've been deep.
That's exactly what he said.
We might need to show that if that's okay. That's a long time before this.
And you were actually a chef.
Was a chef. Yeah.
Still
that was
is
first
chef.
day of chef's school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How old were you there?
16.
Yeah.
So that's in Auckland, or
In Auckland.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I did go deep.
Yeah, you went way too deep.
As soon as I pulled that up this morning, he goes, "How deep did you go?"
Yeah.
So I just kept showing till I got to the end because I thought you might have missed some shit. I thought 15 million people looking at you probably didn't miss anything.
Caitlin's going to go. I was going to say, you're going to go home and delete that.
600 posts ago, I would say.
I took a long time. I was sitting here having a coffee this morning going like this.
Busy morning.
There's stories behind both of those people.
I'm sure.
There is, yeah.
So let's start with the idea of this. When I say this, I mean what you're doing now. Can you articulate what it is you guys do now?
Yeah, we're basically a production company that makes content around inspiring people to cook better food at home.
Boom. That's the elevator pitch. That's very, very good.
Yeah.
So how did it start? Whose idea? When? All of those things.
It was my crazy idea.
Yeah, it's all
Caitlin's always supported my crazy idea. I'm one of these people that has 1,000 ideas a day, and every now and then one of them's good. So, but it was a product of COVID. We were both living in Melbourne together in COVID.
Yeah.
I was the corporate executive chef for Emirates Leisure Retail. We had 100 venues around Australia and New Zealand. I had 6 direct report exec chefs into me.
That's no cooking though, right? You were just looking at spreadsheets, I'm guessing.
Pure corporate job.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of stadiums and airports and stuff like that, right?
Airport retail mainly, and hospital retail as well.
Yep.
But that business came to a grinding halt.
Yeah.
So, it was a pretty awful time for hospitality, and it was especially awful for airport retail.
Yeah.
The only, I guess, not positive, but not negative, is that airport retail is largely owned by corporation. It's not owned by mum and dad business.
Yeah.
So, as a lot of people lost their jobs, which is devastating.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone lost their house.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we lost our jobs pretty quickly, and we just drove north. So Caitlin's from the Sunshine Coast where we live now.
Yeah.
We drove north, and we kind of didn't do much for a few months.
Yeah, all of Melbourne was in a lockdown,
Yeah.
and Queensland just shut their borders, and you guys were just roaming around free.
Well, yeah, we were.
Yeah.
There is some survivor guilt there, I think, for a lot of people as
Yeah.
well. Like, I know we've talked about this before. Like my family was in Melbourne, and went through.
It still hasn't recovered. Melbourne's still battered from it.
Yeah. A lot of great restaurants closed down during that time or after.
Yeah.
There's still something. I was down there for the Grand Prix, and it's like there's still that buzz that I feel as though I was a bit missing out of Melbourne, because it was always like that.
The
And I
food
thought,
capital.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could go to Melbourne on a Tuesday, go out for dinner, and there's that element of Melbourne, I don't know, that's missing out of all the other cities. And it was always really, really cool and busy. But during that time, even though the city was full, it just still felt like it was missing something.
Yeah.
So
See, I met some people on Saturday night that from Mexico. They're out here, and they've got an exchange student daughter who's here, and they've just been to Sydney, Melbourne, and they were. Yeah, they were almost talking about that. Like Melbourne was kind of close, but no cigar, whereas they really like Sydney, which is really interesting. So, because I would have thought, again, Melbourne for me is like the closer to European. The architecture's different. There's all those kind of things. But yeah, they were like, love the way that Melbourne looked. Didn't like the way it felt, kind of almost. And it's like, interesting. But anyway, so you drove north. You stopped here.
Yeah.
And then what?
We moved in with Caitlin's parents, which was a pretty, I guess, sobering experience to be in your mid-30s and living back with the in-laws. Luckily, we all get along. Yeah. You know, it's kind of different when you move back in with the in-laws and everyone's adults, you know, like, you know, so.
You got to have some sort of weird conversations though when that happens. I remember even when I did it as a young adult moving back in, it was like, okay, we're going to have some
boundaries.
There's some boundaries. Yeah, exactly right. I don't have to call you every day to tell you I'm going to come home. Or
No.
washing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And for me, it was easy because it's my family,
your
right?
parents, yeah.
So, but I think for Andy, you know, you've always been very
Pretty
self-sufficient and all of that. And so moving in with your girlfriend's parents
In your
very,
mid-30s.
very humbling.
But it was what we needed to do.
Yeah.
And just to preserve cash, you know, it was only so much cash, and there was no jobs, right? There was just no real jobs anywhere. So I decided to start making videos, and it was on the back of when lockdown first happened in Melbourne. All of a sudden, I had all this time on my hands. Caitlin's contract still had a couple of months left to go, so I was in our apartment in Melbourne, just pulling my hair out. So I just started just cooking, right? Like most chefs do. I started cooking. And I really quickly realised that I had no idea how to cook at home. Yeah. You know, I think commercial cooking and home cooking is a very different thing. You know, so I was, so I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And so that's kind of where the idea started. It's like, well, here's this journey of a chef of 20 years learning how to cook at home, learning how to be a domestic cook. Yep. So I started documenting it.
It's funny, actually, when you think, it's one of those things where you don't think about it until you have to think about it, like equipment.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just reach over the deep fryer at home and throw something in there. You know, there's all those kind of things where you probably get spoilt in kitchens with all of the toys, and you at home it's like, okay, how do I do that without all the stuff? Where's my I don't have an immersion circulator just popping over everything the counter. I mean, now obviously people can have these things because costs have come down, but is that where it sort of started? Like, I can't do bits and pieces, so
yeah, I think just the pace, right? Like in restaurants, you know, everything's prepped to within an inch of its life before service, and then you go, right? Whereas when you're cooking at home, it all kind of comes together at the same time, and I think it's just a different way of cooking. And I found that really interesting, so I kind of, you know, lent into that, and that was the first spick, you know, that was the first kind of idea behind the content.
It's one of the first videos I seen you in. You were cooking out of the back of your car.
Yeah.
The little chimney.
Yeah.
It was cool as.
Is that one of the ones up the beach?
Yeah. Like I love going up the beach, so it resonated with me. And I've got another friend at the moment that's doing the same thing, and I'm like, you should just zone in on that because I reckon that's a big market.
Yeah.
And I felt that because I fight the same fight. Just because you go up the beach for a day, it doesn't mean snags and bread.
Yeah.
I mean,
hey.
I'm not. There's nothing wrong with a snag and bread.
We start disrespecting snacks and bread. Just want to jump in here and protect the snacks and bread.
Or you can eat a prawn roll too.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do it all sort of, camping style.
Yeah.
But that really resonated with me, and I think that market's pretty big as well. You know?
And that was our lifestyle at the time, because when we moved here, we just went camping with our mates who were also unemployed.
To get away from in-laws.
Pretty much.
Who you love dearly.
Yeah, they'll definitely listen to this, so I should be careful what I say.
But you're right, going on the beach, there's a lot of great things you can go, or just camping in general. That was a lot of
our
fun.
friends loved it. Well, when we did some pretty cool camping trips, we went to
Fraser
Island for 6 nights or something, and our friends all enjoy food too. So, we had a theme every night. So it was like Korean night, or
So was that decided before you left? Obviously,
Yeah.
Like, right, we're gonna do this,
each
this,
each couple had a certain thing they had to look after, so we alternated between proteins, carbs, and
salads.
Yeah.
There was a theme for the night.
Yeah. That's cool.
Did anyone let the team down?
No, everyone did a good
it
one.
was
can
really
do it?
good.
Yeah.
But I remember the funniest moment was we were camping next to this very Ocker Australian family, beautiful family, and they come over and they're like, "Oh, what are you guys cooking?" And our friend who was vegan at the time, she's like, "It's vegan Korean night," and they were just the look on my face.
He's like, "Well, I got a pork roast on."
Slowly backed away from our campsite. So.
Vegan Korean.
Yeah.
Just what I woke up this morning feeling like. Kimchi for everyone.
Yeah, it's like kimchi. And Kaitlin, because when did you start at the university?
It wasn't my first job here.
Right.
I did start somewhere else, but it wasn't the right fit.
Sure.
And then, so I must have started at the university. I've probably been back for about 8 months
Right.
when I started there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your background obviously is in comms and
Yeah, PR and comms.
Yep.
Spent 5 years in PR agencies in Melbourne and then moved into internal comms. And so once I came up here, there was only a handful of companies that I wanted to work for, and the university being one of them.
Yeah.
So once I had that role, it was a really easy and natural fit.
Yeah.
It was looking after student communication campaigns.
which sounds. I have no idea what any of that means.
Sounds dry.
But it's also like Jen just having finished uni. I know how much stuff she gets or
Yeah.
got or
Yeah.
was receiving, and all of the thing that's. I feel like it'd be an absolute nightmare in terms of trying to herd cats.
In a way, I think in my role, in my previous internal comms role, it was more about you're just advising stakeholders, so different departments of the uni, how to best communicate with the students on their projects.
Yeah.
And, it's not all the students. Sometimes it's a niche market of students. So
Sure.
ultimately it's very, it translates well to what we're doing now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just advising on different comms campaigns.
And then we met when you came and worked at Market.
I did.
Which was great fun.
So I think that was in between my two jobs.
Right.
I wasn't being fulfilled in the previous one, and
Yeah.
I have always loved wine. So
Yeah.
I think I walked in and just said, I want a job here.
Yeah, that's exactly what you did do. And that's I have a thing. If someone ever walks in and says that,
Yeah.
I'm going to employ them.
Yeah.
Like 99 times out of 100.
Yeah.
Because it just means they've said exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Their intentions are clear.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I've got to get a job. I'm going
Yeah.
to walk around. I'm going to do whatever. It's a different way of doing it when you walk and say, I want to work here
Yeah.
specifically. So
Yeah.
hence we employed
Yeah,
you
it
very quickly.
was
So-
more about a passion than
Yeah.
it was a job for money.
Yeah,
So.
and that's that's probably the same for wine in general. It's quite sad. Well, it's actually Hospo in general. No one's doing it for money.
There is none in it. No.
It's all right. So happy tears. But and so the video started. Was there one in particular that just went bunter? Was it the fish and chip one, or was it before that?
Well, there's a couple. As soon as we started doing the Hey Babe series,
Yeah.
they just people just loved them. So
Yeah.
And what platform did you kick it off on?
TikTok.
TikTok. Was
Yeah,
it?
TikTok.
Which is early, right?
It was pretty early for TikTok.
Mhm.
Yeah. We added 1 million followers on TikTok in 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um,
That's where the growth was at the time.
Yeah.
Everyone was watching TikTok. So
Just that short form,
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
I don't have time.
Do you remember?
But
I
I
was
do.
trying to get.
At that time, they did have time. That's the weird thing about it as well, right?
Yeah.
Everyone did have time, but they
Do you
still only
remember
want
your
6
first
seconds.
TikTok video?
I hate TikTok. Sorry, I rephrased that. I love it now. Back then, I didn't get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was made to do something. I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've
We
ever
used to
seen.
do a TikTok video in the
Was it a
balcony.
dance?
kicking
No,
and
it wasn't
screaming.
far off a dance. It was something to do with babies. It was
Yeah,
like,
you were laughing. It was like giggling.
it was like a baby laugh. It was
gotta
super
find it.
weird. We don't need to put it up anywhere. It was
Insert here.
pretty
Corey, on
bad.
Andy's got a few cringy ones if you
Yeah.
scroll all
Yeah,
the
it's
way
pretty
back.
bad ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
when you
that's
first
just
start off,
that's
like
just the way. It
Gary
works.
Vaynerchuk, his first ones when he was reviewing wine on YouTube.
Yeah.
They're pretty
Hysterical
bad.
ones.
It's
Yeah.
great.
But
Isn't
and
it?
it's like even when we started doing this, and
Yeah.
like, these are still probably horrendous, but there's always there's always going to be a first.
You're gonna
Yeah.
learn something
Yeah,
from each
exactly
episode.
right. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, and so TikTok obviously took off
Yeah.
really, really well.
Yeah.
At what point did did you think, hey, this is a thing?
Look, I'm one of these people that thinks that about everything,
Right.
Straight up. So pretty straight up. I saw a future of media, and I thought, let's have a crack at this, and
Yeah.
I think we can make something of it. I've got 20 years experience. I've got a lot of knowledge to share. I just need to learn how to use cameras and
Yeah.
editing software, and we'll be on the way.
Yeah.
So, pretty quickly.
Which is, I think, awesome. And then the step from that to now.
Yeah.
I don't want to say steps,
Steps.
plural,
Yeah.
lots of them, probably hundreds of
Hundreds.
them,
Yeah.
some up, some down.
Lots
Yeah.
of mistakes. Yeah.
Was there always the idea that to get to this point where it is about obviously followers are such a big thing these days, and having those platforms. And I think one of the things that's unique about you is that you've got that cross-platform following. It's not like we're just YouTube or we're just Instagram or we're just TikTok. You're pretty much relatively even across the board, I think, which is pretty unique.
Yeah, just Facebook's probably lacking a little bit, but it's quite a different person that uses Facebook still.
Yeah, my mum.
Yeah, it's that age group.
Love you.
Yeah. But it is, you know, like, so the videos probably need to be a little bit slower on Facebook.
Okay.
They're not quite as kind of punchy.
Yeah. So do you edit them differently for different?
Well, we try to, but there's just so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
So and so much, you know.
We need to, but we just don't have the resources right now.
Yeah. So we kind of started. Well, it's pretty quick. I was posting on TikTok, and I didn't quite realize that you could actually also post the same content everywhere else.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, oh, actually, I can post this everywhere. So I started doing that, and that's when everything took off. Maybe a year into it, I was like, all right, I need the long form stuff's where the real growth is. So that's when I started making long form YouTube videos. And that's probably most of our attention now. The short forms will always be there.
Is the short form to drive to the long form though? Or?
Not necessarily. I think they're different. They're different
audience.
mediums for different reasons.
Yeah.
You know, like I think if you look at your own habits about, I'll flick on short form content when I've got 5 minutes. If I'm actually sitting down to watch something, then you watch long form. So I think I guess it does naturally kind of push people over, but it's not as much as people think.
Yeah. I suppose the other thing with Insta and TikTok as well, when it is that short form stuff, you're really good at like linking everything, and so it's all there as well. Like even Insta's got the full recipes there, so it's like you don't have to click through 53 times and get rid of ads and everything else that's sort of in the way of sort of seeing what you want. Which I think is really, really important.
Yeah.
And, we always talk about with restaurants in particular. It's like your front page of your website should have everything you need on it.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to burrow through a maze to find a menu.
Yeah, reduce the barriers, you know?
But people, I don't think people quite understand how much work goes into that, like.
So let's talk about that, because it's not just you guys, right?
No,
You've got a full team around you now. So talk about that.
So there's a team of 5, including ourselves. So Caitlyn looks after the business side of things, and I'll let her dive into that into a second. I do all the creative and direction and recipe writing. And then we have Mitch, who does all the videography, and Caleb does all the editing, and Daz, who does production manager. So Daz's role is really varied, but she organises the calendar, she does all thumbnails, she helps with the dishes. We're a small team, so we kind of do everything.
Yeah.
But and then Kaitlin and myself genuinely both work 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
So there's effectively 7 full-time roles in the business.
And I think that's the thing, is that I think people just see the 6-second video and go, that's amazing.
Great life.
Caitlin's entire week is just sitting around going, I want this now. I want this now. I'll take the bulgogi, thank you very much. What is your week? What does your week look like?
I mean, my emails a lot.
Yeah.
So it's very much a desk job, and then travel when I need to get to stakeholders. So I think, one of the biggest roles for me is the relationships between the brands that we work with. It's a big part of our business. So we have various brand partners. We have ones which are long-term, so more of that ambassador role, or we have ones that come to us for a campaign, whether it's a product that they're wanting to sell or just awareness of the brand. So I work really closely with them on those campaigns and just building those relationships. We're not a business where we move through lots of them. We kind of only work with maybe 5 a year, and we like to work with them on a longer term basis, because I think it needs to be very relevant to the channel and authentic for us and to the audience as well. So we're wanting to build those relationships with brands that usually are already in Andy's kitchen. So
it must be hard to navigate your way through that, right? Because when you first start off, you must have had everybody throwing the sink at you, going, do this, do that, or what about this, offering you
is it better or worse now? Do you have more or less now?
I think we have less, to be honest, because I think we get a lot of, at the start, you get a lot of random requests of...
I have a pie maker. Please help me sell this.
Oh, no, things outside of the kitchen, to be honest, that they just try to, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example, or a wallet or a VPN, and how can we work this into cooking content? It's like, we can't. We genuinely can't.
And your product sucks. So.
Which is hard, right? Because I'm assuming there'll be people out there offering you big cabbage to use a shit product.
Yeah.
And then there's those types of stories that littered through our industry.
Absolutely.
And it can end your career.
Absolutely.
Like that.
Yeah. I think that's what they don't look at the long term. You know, you've created this audience, and your reputation is everything.
Absolutely.
So but brand partnerships are a big part of the business. Like we need to do them to be able to continue to make this content. So I guess it takes a lot longer to find those relationships and, you know, build those partnerships, but it's definitely worth it in the end, because if we can bring value to the brand and to the audience at the same time, then that's just a win.
I know that we've spoken about this before, is that there is a lot of time that you spend on, and you both do, in terms of working out what it is you do and don't want to do, and it's probably there's more no's than yeses, obviously.
Yeah,
I think
90%.
Yeah,
no.
I think that's a really important thing, is that there is some like, you guys care about what it is. It's not just taking the money, because there is money out there at the moment for lots of different things, and you can get caught up in that. And you know, we all know people that, you know, see the shiny lights and sort of take the money, and then they're like, shit, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Or now
it's hard to go back.
I'm partnered with them. I can't undo that. Particularly when you've made all this content, it's all out there. It's like, that's out there forever. So
and we've made bad deals. You know, we've made those mistakes.
We did that in the early days.
In terms of brands, or in terms of the way that you
both.
Just some things that
brands, contracts.
And the consumer tells you real quickly that they're upset with you, and you go, okay, let's
zero filters.
Yeah.
Do they actually, or do you get the? Is it emails? Is it comments?
Oh, it's just comments. Just comments. Yeah.
So you do read the comments?
Yeah, you do. You
kind of have to.
You kind of have to. Yeah.
It's immediate feedback.
But it takes practice. And it's a skill to learn to read comments, and the fact that everyone's got an opinion. Most of them are wrong, genuinely. But if there's a theme going on, you can tell when you've made a mistake, right? And
how did you mitigate that at the start? Because
it's tough
for your mental health. It must be.
It's tough.
It was about 2 years ago. I can't even remember what it was for. It had something to do with COVID and the job seeker stuff, that I got asked to do a piece with Channel 7 or the local newspaper or something. And I literally can't remember exactly what I said, but it was so taken out of context and then posted, and I got fucking massacred over it. And it was like, there's some of the comments direct messaging me saying, I hope you get cancer and die. And I was in a dark place for like a week or two. I reached out to a few people who are in the media game, just trying to get a bit of advice on how to deal with it. Because I always ask people who've got big followers like you guys, like, that's difficult to manage that. And it's hard not to take it personally.
It is.
You know what I mean? Like, and if you're not careful, that, you know, you can find yourself really in a really dark place.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Did you find that hard?
Yeah, definitely. And it's, you know, a lot of the food content that I love food from all over the world, right? Like, I love it. Now, you know, it's tricky when you cook food from all over the world and you come from a really privileged place. You have to be really careful that you're respecting people's cultures, you know, and that you understand that food culture is way bigger in a lot of the part of the world than we're used to. Right. So, you know, cultures like Italy, India, places where food is sacred. Right. And if you are mucking up their recipe, they are going to let you know about it. You're not
Peking duck pizza.
Yeah. But there's a difference between, so, you know, every nonna has their own way of making lasagna, right? So if you go make a lasagna video and there's 2 comments that say you're an idiot and you don't know how to cook, versus if you make a Peking duck lasagna, then you just, you know.
that's on you.
Yeah.
So you need to learn to filter it, and you know really quickly whether you've done right or wrong.
And it's hard when you see comments that are so wrong about what, you know, commenting about your food, and you know that they're so out of line and they're so full of shit. Just not just go, you fucking
literally.
You know, you just want to choke them. But
what do you know about?
Duck? And
like,
you just got to sit back and eat a shit sandwich and go, no, you're not. There's no trophy at the end of it, except you'll burn hours of your day thinking about some muppet who made a comment about your Peking duck pizza.
That's a good thing, is the time, like that headspace. I know, when our first episode of this, I'll tell you about this off camera actually, but there was someone said something, I'm like, are you joking? It's like, and it wasn't necessarily, well, it was the content, it was also the person. It's just like, really? Are you just sitting at home waiting for this to happen? It's just like, it says a lot about someone where that's their thing. I think for me, I mean,
when I was in that dark place, one comment that resonated with me, and I use it all the time, is nobody better than you has ever ripped the piss out of you. And I sit back and I'm like, that's so true. So now I use that as a filter, and I go, well,
the man in the arena speech. It's like, if you don't like it, do it yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
I think the toughest stuff for us was the derogatory comments that are made towards Caitlyn. You know, which is just outrageous in my opinion. The fact that, you know, they're like, you're a female, you should be doing other stuff. You know, like you should be the one cooking. It's just ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah, it was actually the first probably year and a half. It was pretty horrendous, the hate towards me.
Really?
Yeah. People didn't like that I was sitting ordering food, and people cannot see some people cannot see beyond the 60-second video and just genuinely think that I spend my life ordering food and eating food and I do nothing else. So I was called lazy.
Yeah. Just like there really is a camera in the fridge filming you getting your
It's not real life, guys. Like,
I sit back and I go, fine, get a hobby.
And, you know, it mainly came from males, but there was still females doing it as well.
Really?
And I think when it comes to females, they know what will upset us. So it was lazy, fat, pig, and like all these really horrendous things.
They're talking about me.
It's hard when you see it over and over again. You just, it does get you. But at the same time, you know, I'm in my 30s. I know that the people's opinions that actually matter are just the ones immediately around me, not randoms on the internet. But it's still at the same time, it does get to you. So I feel for the younger girls who are on there and receiving comments like that or sleazy comments and just navigating that, because that's tough if you don't have a great group of people.
I was going to say, if you don't have a
physical people around
real
you,
people. Not the keyboard warriors that are telling you one way or another. But that's a really interesting thing, because there's, you know, a lot of this is icebreaker stuff. It's new ground. Like there's not someone that you're following. Like this is literally new ground in terms of what you're doing, where it's going, who's seeing it. These platforms that didn't exist 5 years ago. And there's no one there to really help you navigate that in terms of like, oh, here's the book. This is how you get from A to Z.
No.
It doesn't exist.
No. Which is kind of the exciting part.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's double-edged sword there.
People try to do it. You know, there's obviously a lot of management agencies based in Australia now, but we just found none of them really could keep up with how quickly our business was moving.
How quickly I'm moving.
That's the other part of my job, just managing every idea and project that comes into his mind. And managing his calendar, which is also a big.
Let's speak about the calendar for a minute, because it's obvious that you guys are moving around a lot at the moment, which is awesome. But having been someone who travelled a lot for work for a long period of time, that can be a drain as well. How do you guys manage that? Like in terms of travel, like let's do a year at the moment. How often are you guys away?
We'll be in the US 2 or 3 times, Europe once, and you know, maybe Asia twice, but then Sydney all the time. You know, once a month, Melbourne every other month, so a lot. But I'm a seasoned corporate traveller. So in my Emirates days, I was doing 100 flights a year consistently.
You know how to do it.
You get good at it.
It's everyone else that's annoying though, because they don't know how to do it.
Does your whole team travel with you when you go to film?
Yes and no. Last year was a lot more of that than this year has been. We did a lot of filming overseas as a team. This year we kind of calmed down a bit on that. Mainly now I travel for brand stuff effectively.
That's hard, isn't it? And incredibly expensive. Like we went to Japan this year with Corey, and we did some stuff with Suntory. And just watching him travel with all of his camera gear.
I like how you said watching him as well.
Because he gave me
luggage
a 30-kilo backpack filled with fucking batteries, and I'm like, and he was carrying it around all day. Like it's people just see the video and just think not much goes into it. We're walking through temples and marketplaces and Buggerlug's behind the camera here, and all of his shit that he carried halfway around the world.
And it's stressful.
Necessary shit.
You know, it's stressful.
Very necessary.
We're traveling, you know, through Asia, which I love, Southeast Asia, but it's not the safest place in the world, and you're carrying $100,000 of gear. You know, it's stressful, right? You're like, oh, you know.
It's also extremely hot, and Mitch has got this, you know, like
big
50 kilos on his back.
And then it's actually not the gear that I stress about, it's the data. You know, like if you're a month into a trip and you've got 4 or 5 videos banked into
terabytes of...
and it's like you try your best to back up to the cloud as you're going, but sometimes internet's not good enough.
Well, that's the thing, because you need high-speed, serious internet to be able to get that stuff up, right, Corey? Yeah.
Corey got juiced one night in Japan and gave me his stuff to take back because the old bloke needed to go back to the hotel because I didn't want to go out. And he ended up getting nervous and panicked and wouldn't trust me. So after I got back to the hotel, he came back about 30 seconds later because he didn't trust that all of his gear was going to get there in one piece.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what you said. He's like,
Fair
data. Like all that time that you spent filming.
And with that travel, so the other thing that you've been doing, like probably in the last 2 years, probably more so, is that collaboration stuff with other content creators. And it's weird when I say content creators because I feel like that generally leads people down a certain path of what kind of content it is, which is fine as well. If that's your choice. But
we all comment for couscous.
Top contributor over here. Just saying that, but it is. I mean, you do it like this, and you've had some really cool ones recently as well. That just
we've been pretty lucky.
Yeah. But that stuff, that's not who's filming that. Like, if you're doing collaboration stuff, do you film it? Do they film it?
Depends on who it is. Depends where we are, who it is. We did a really cool one this year with Taika Waititi.
I messaged Caitlyn, I'm like, are you joking? It's just like, I love those guys. I think they're amazing. Taika Waititi, he's incredible as an artist, and the things that he's done, I love
so
everything.
Funny.
And I just hate the fact that you guys got to hang out with him. But anyway, good on you. Really happy for you.
Rita's awesome as well. Yeah, she's real funny.
Let's say that sentence out loud. Yeah. My friend Rita.
Love it.
But that came about. Kiwis have this thing where they kind of they're always proud of each other when they're doing well. So he's
opposite of Australian.
Yeah. We've been messaging for a while back and forth, and then we were there. I can't remember why we were in LA, but our team wasn't with us. I had a small amount of gear with me. I landed in LA and I saw that Taika. It was the night after that really famous Kendrick concert where Dr. Dre got on stage. And I saw Taika was down. I was like, bro, are you in LA? He's like, yeah, come around tomorrow. And I was like, okay, cool. We've got to do this. We've got to make this happen. So we rock up and, all the niceties and get to know each other. And then I didn't even think about it. And I was like, right, this is what we're going to do. And he's like, hang on a second. I'm the director.
You're talking about probably the greatest of our generation. He's like,
this is what we're going to do.
He
just almost put his finger on my lips.
Pump the brakes.
You cook, I'll direct.
Exactly.
Yes, boss.
I got this. Yeah. That's cool though. That would have been. How was that though? Handing that over.
Amazing. It was hilarious. You know, and then. We got on like a house on fire. Rita and Caitlyn got on really well. We ended up hanging out with them all night. We had a flight to Austin the next day at 7 a.m. and I think we left their place at 3 a.m. So, it was an incredible experience.
Awesome.
And we got to see Rita perform live at some club in LA backstage, and it was just a great time. And ever since then, we've all been
hanging out or with friends.
Well, friends, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. And you're right. Just going back to that comment you made about Kiwis supporting each other.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I mean, I spent a fair bit of time in New Zealand, and it's so true. And we always talk about from a wine perspective, it was always collaboration versus competition.
Yeah.
They're just so good at it, and they partner well together. They all play well together. They do things together. It's so much more effective when it gets done like that. And sometimes in Australia, not all the time, but sometimes it's the complete opposite. It's like, right, we're going to cut you down. It's that tall poppy thing, which happens a lot. Yeah,
and people joke about it, and it's why I've never really thought about it till being in the position that we're in now. It's genuine thing, the tall poppies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always liken it to if you drive a Lambo in America, people will look at your car and go, hey, bro, where'd you get that from? That's sick. You do it in Australia, they'll key it.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, fuckhead. And, which is is really,
Yeah.
I don't have that with my Jazz. My Jazz doesn't. It's fine. No one key my Jazz. Thanks very much. It's very important. So with all of the filming, with all of the travel, is there any normality in your life, or is this just the new normal?
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
Sometimes weekends are normal. Like, we work, but I think being on the Sunshine Coast still feels really normal, and we still see our the same group of friends.
Yeah. I definitely don't think of ourselves as like public figures or anything like that. And
you're getting recognised in public, I assume.
Yeah, we are quite a lot.
Yeah.
Not so much on the coast. I think because coast is pretty small.
They're just like, whatever.
They all kind of know us, especially we don't really go very far.
Yeah. Your catchment.
Yeah. So. That's pretty normal. Go to the gym every morning. That's pretty normal. And Yeah.
But it's I think, you know, a lot of people use that term, famous people, when they talk about when the first time they get recognised, it's like, oh shit, this is a thing. You know.
Yeah.
I suppose that there is that, like you said, hang out with your friends, that keeping you level, I think is such a really important thing as well, because it is, I imagine, it is, as if I know, I imagine it would be pretty easy to drink the Kool-Aid as well.
I kind of always say that I'm really glad that this happened at this point in my life, and it didn't happen when I was 24 and still, you know, on the sauce every night, because I would have just destroyed it. You know? So I think it takes a level of maturity to be able to navigate it carefully.
And you through the kitchen, you were hardcore kitchen guy.
Hardcore kitchen
play
guy.
hard, drank
hard,
worked hard.
Yeah, all that.
It's a dangerous, it's a slippery slope, isn't it?
Yeah. I've been sober 7 years now. So,
Wow.
Yeah. Which
good.
Well done.
Pretty big turning point for me.
Yeah. Was there a tipping point? Was there something that happened? Or
yeah, I think I was drinking really heavily, like most guys in the profession do, which I'm not advocating for it. I think it's a culture we probably need to actively try and change.
100%.
Yeah.
And I watched a really interesting thing from Jackie from Melbourne and Neil Perry last night on ABC about it. You know, cooking is this crazy pressure pot, you know, and it's changing now, which is great, but especially back when we were cooking properly, you know, you're doing 80 hours a week, you know, and it became the norm. The only way you could get off those crazy highs and lows was to just sink a bottle of wine after service. So I think it's good that the hours are coming down, and, you know, kitchen environments are changing for the better. We're not there yet, but we're on the right path at least.
Yeah.
But I kind of always knew that I was like drinking far more than I should. Probably for a year, I kind of told myself, at some point you're gonna have to give up the booze.
Yeah.
And I know my personality. It was like just being like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, just not drink so much. Well, it's not in my nature. So it was like
the on and off switch.
Yeah, it's an on and off switch. So, and then I think it just, you know, I started like not liking the person I was. Didn't do anything really, really bad, but you know, I was just like became a bit of a dick. You know, when I was drinking. So I tried for a year to do it by myself, couldn't do it. Put my hand up and checked myself into rehab, and best thing I ever did.
It worked.
Well done.
Well done. Yeah, it's a big thing, and I think you're right. We've talked about this before with a couple of people as well. The culture is changing, but it is slow.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
And there's certain things, and we talked about with Faz about this, there's certain stuff that went down in those times, which wasn't that long ago, but that should never have happened, regardless of what time it is or who it was or anything like that. And I think that there is that realization now that you just can't act like that. Like, you can't be a dick. It's as simple as that. Is you just can't, you know. And I think it's a really positive thing. The drinking thing, I you know, again, a lot of venues now, like the after work drinking culture, doesn't exist. You know, for a lot of different reasons. You know, I was talking to someone recently. The reason why they don't allow it in their group is legal. Yeah, like if someone has, you know, a six pack of beer on after they finish work and then jumps on the bike and rides home, then there's trouble. So you know, it's I think it's a really positive thing. And you know, we talked with who did we talk with? Gosh, I'm just thinking who we were talking about. They're talking about the idea that it used to be everyone had. Oh, it was Faz. He was talking about the fact they'd go out, like they'd record all day, they'd go out at night, they'd get up and do it all the next morning. Now they're like getting up in the morning and going and doing cold soaks and this kind of stuff. It's like everything's changed.
Obsession of a different time.
Exactly.
Yeah, literally.
But it's interesting you say that though, because I think one of the things about hospitality is that it attracts people that have an addictive personality. Because it's like I'm not half into hospo. Like you know, there's just no thing. It's like I am jumping head first or feet first into this thing, and so because a lot of people say we though, and I have an addictive personality as well. It's like, well, you've got to choose an obsession. Try and choose a healthy one if you can. And I think that there's always that wrestle between the good and the bad, and the, you know, whatever it may be, and trying to find what's good for each individual is such that and can take time.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it can, and I think even how we carry ourselves now is, I guess, awkwardly saying seniors of the hospo world.
It's just the truth.
You know, and for a long time, I talked about the stories of the old times in London and romanticised about how aggressive those kitchens were. And it was like, actually, you probably need to change how we're even telling those stories.
Reframe
because it wasn't romantic.
No.
And it wasn't nice. And it wasn't fun. but we kind of made ourselves believe it was authentic.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting point, is that we do, when you're in it, you can't see it.
No.
Like, you don't think that there's anything wrong
it's
with it.
hard when you hang your hat on the fact you survived it, rather than talking about how much you learned.
Yeah.
And I feel the same. Like,
Which is
fucking survived.
Yeah. And that's the reality of it, that people didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and we all know those people. We all have those stories where things didn't work out for everyone.
No.
And that's one of those things where it's just like, it's, as an industry, we've just got to do better with that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. But
And with your hectic calendar now, is there a day of the week you go, I'm not working that day? Or are you 24/7?
No, unfortunately not.
both right smiles.
Yeah. There's been arguments had there.
I think we try for Sundays, but ultimately we have a YouTube long format that goes live Sunday morning. So we still need to be in the comments or just analysing the data.
Yeah.
If that needs, like, we have to change thumbnail or title really quickly.
But I think we're very real in the fact that we're effectively a startup business, and like any business, you have to be, for it to be successful, you have to be prepared to put in hard yards for the first 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, we're 3 years into this. I think next year, you know, some big changes coming for us next year that will allow us, you know, as a year of probably transition, allow us to probably take the foot off the gas a little bit the year after.
Yeah.
He says this.
I was going to say, we have that on film as well. So, Kaitlin, when you need this, just play this back. Yeah.
It's not my personality.
Yeah.
No.
Like, just like we're talking about, addictive personality. I love what I do. So I'm not going to sit down on a Sunday in front of the TV and watch sport all day.
Yeah.
It's just not my personality.
Yeah.
So
If you were, what sport would you watch?
Formula One.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
And do you film, is all the filming done in your house? Or have you got a studio external to your house?
Yeah, at the moment it's all in our house.
That must be hard.
Yeah.
Because your home
You can't
should be a
separate it.
sanctuary.
Yeah.
It's hard.
So we're currently building a studio in Sydney.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah. So we're about to sign the lease on the property
Yep.
and build a studio there, which is, you know, stressful and
Yeah.
all those things, and move the filming down there because we're kind of always down in Sydney, and that's where the entertainment world is in Australia.
Yep.
The entertainment industry is a very strange place at the moment. Traditional media is kind of on the way out, and what we do is on the way in.
Yeah.
I think there's always going to be a space for traditional media as we kind of always known it for the next 20 years anyway.
Yep.
There's a lot of people now in the entertainment industry that have, you know, we were on a big commercial shoot last week. Last week?
No, it was Friday. Yeah, I guess
Last
Friday.
week,
Friday. I don't know
It's
anymore.
definitely last week.
You know,
It's Monday.
Okay, thank you.
you know, and there was 80 people on set,
Yeah,
you know, for a 30-second commercial. And I think that
big.
those days are kind of coming to an end. And speaking to the people there, you know, their jobs are changing from the one guy that pulls focus on the camera, you know, it used to be a pretty common job. Now it's, you know, guys like this that do everything.
Do everything. Yeah, exactly. We're very glad that Corey can do everything.
Yeah.
Thanks, Corey.
Love you, Corey. But I think you're right, that landscape of media, there's sort of that generational change that's happening as well, even within the industry, where the people that are the decision makers, the gatekeepers, are not the people that are going home and watching free-to-air television, and, you know, they understand there's other things out there. I think that's scary for them, probably awesome for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Change takes time, like we've talked about a couple of times, but, you know, speaking to, I won't mention names, but the boss of a very large network in Australia, they understand. They get what's happening.
Yeah.
But they're just trying to figure out how that landscape changes.
I think that's the thing, is how do they fit into whatever the new is?
Yeah.
You know, and that'd be seriously tough because they've also got shareholders and, you know, they've got all that to deal with.
They don't want to finish up looking like Blockbuster Video.
No, and that's the thing. It's like, it's almost
You
like...
don't recognise the fact that that's where it's going. That's what's going to happen. Right?
What's the thing? It's like taxi drivers.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, no
change.
offense to any taxi drivers, but it's like, if you didn't
Taxi
see
that
that
got
coming...
launched last week. Holy shit!
What is it?
Yeah, Tesla's new.
Oh my god!
Has anyone seen that movie? The hell was that called?
Not Taxi.
No. The one with Julia Roberts or
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one. And all the
All the-
Teslas just go. It's the end of the world. It's like sorry, just
Well, they drive
spoiler alert.
San Francisco.
yeah.
Driverless day. I remember getting in. I was shitting myself.
No, I wouldn't do it. I don't think I can do it.
Even Austin. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did see
Really?
them there. Yeah. It's very strange.
I don't know if I could do it.
The new Tesla taxis don't even have a steering wheel in them.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable.
We're not ready for it.
I'm not ready for an electric car, let alone someone to be driving with it or it driving without anyone at the front of it. No, that's
And the
Not okay.
robot Uber Eats delivery.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool. They're all
Really?
around LA.
Yeah, just these little look like large eskies on wheels, just cruising around LA,
delivering meals.
delivering stuff.
See, I straight away I'm like, they'll end up in the river.
Yeah.
I just
do.
like here.
Yeah.
Not running
Like
through
the
San
scooters.
Francisco, that's
what
for
they
sure.
reckon. There's millions of those scooters in the river
Yeah.
in Brisbane because people are like, man,
So yeah,
finish my ride, throw it over the edge. It's like, that's not okay.
no.
Anyway. Okay, so I want to talk about numbers for a second. We've got, what did we say, 15 million across all platforms,
Yep.
which is pretty impressive. What's the biggest video number wise?
There's a short video of a biryani that would have collectively 200 million views. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? And can you work it out? Why that one? Because that's the kicker, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in India, and I'm cooking their national dish,
Okay.
and did an okay job of it.
Okay.
So clearly, big audience in India, right, for you?
Yeah.
Massive.
What's the split? Like,
So the US is the biggest for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, followed by Australia
Oh, it depends on the platform.
But-
Each platform is
in
different.
general, but general US, Australia,
UK.
UK, Germany.
really?
Because what was Adriano saying? Mexico for him.
Yeah, it was
He
somewhere
saying,
completely out of the.
Okay.
Like, it was like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like really unusual,
Yeah.
but massively swayed in that direction.
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
It didn't just fluctuate.
South Africa and
Yeah.
Mexico.
So
Okay.
the Indians will love me when I cook a biryani,
Yeah.
and then I'll cook a big T-bone steak, and then they
Zero.
Yeah.
they don't like me anymore.
Yeah.
So which is understandable.
Yeah, yeah,
So
Yeah,
it's-
I mean, yeah, you are cooking their national animal.
yeah.
I mean, that makes sense as well. So
Hopefully, there's a few videos in between.
yeah.
have a bit of a break.
Yeah.
But that idea of then analysing that to try and work out, is it like that back end stuff, like watching the analytics? I know, Caitlin, you're probably getting excited about that conversation, but can you look at something straight away, let's say in the first 12 hours, and go, we've made a mistake, or this is good, we need to bump this, or what? Is that how you do it? Or how do you
Yeah, I
do
mean, the first hour, and I'll know whether a video's first 10 minutes, I'll know whether the video's
Really?
going to go or not.
it purely on likes or interactions?
Just
Views.
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 And
just
how much
views.
is being
Yeah.
pushed by the
But-
platform.
The algorithm's always changing. You know,
Yeah.
I think the days of, those videos, I mean, every now and then you still get a viral one, but
Yeah.
there was a time when it was like, every 3 or 4 videos, there was, days on Instagram that I'd get 100,000 new followers, those
In a
days,
day?
in a day. So those days are kind of over.
Jesus.
But
What's
and
the third of you?
what is that? How does it-
already
yeah.
fucking watching it.
I think, how does that make you feel though? There's like 100,000. Because
It's hard
often
to
with that, I'm guessing they're probably real people. as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
They're not bots. That's actual people.
Yeah. It would be interesting to know how much percentage of the follow. I think Instagram's pretty active and
Yeah.
getting rid of,
accounts.
negative accounts, but it's hard to fathom.
Yeah.
It really is.
Because it's interesting. Like we've talked about success with people, and what's your biggest success and that kind of stuff. And I think that those kind of numbers, they sort of don't make sense as well. It's like,
No.
how do you qualify? It's like, so therefore that video only 1.4 million people watched it.
Yeah.
So that wasn't that great. It's like,
Literally, and that's the scary
Yeah.
thing. I have to remind myself sometimes, right? So a video doesn't do on one platform. So if I wake up in the morning after posting a video at 8:30 at night, and I wake up in the morning, and the video hasn't done 1 million views on Instagram, I'm upset, right? Now,
right.
most people, even most creators in this country, are just like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I was going to say that hurt people to.
Yeah.
Not really, but people want those kind of numbers.
Yeah.
But now they're almost disappointing.
Yeah, very much so.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and we're always chasing
Speak
it.
to somebody about that.
Yeah.
That's what I
He
think.
does.
Yeah, I was going
Very bullish with
to
it.
say. I think that's I would hope so.
Yes.
But that comes back to that idea of like having the team around you that can actually keep you
Yeah.
grounded. It's like, hey mate, we're going to be
Yeah,
okay.
we're okay. Yeah.
Give it another minute, or let's change the thumbnail or whatever it may be
Yeah.
to get it back in the.
They care a lot as well. So same thing. They watch the numbers and they also come in so YouTube long format has a rating between 1 and 10. So you always aim for a 1, which means it's
Who gives you that rating? YouTube does.
YouTube does. So it basically looks at your last 10 videos, and then based on the views, it gives you a rating of where it's sitting at.
Right.
So you always aim for a number 1. And so when you come in on a Monday and we've hit a number 1, the team energy is high, everyone's
Right.
stoked.
Yeah.
You get a number 10, it's pretty depressing. And it's, it's kind of hard, because everyone puts so much work into it,
Yeah.
but there's so much to learn from getting a number 10.
You just need to pull it apart.
I was going to say, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Like you have an
So
autopsy and...
we have a 4 p.m. meeting on Monday from that reviewed the last year, and yesterday's video was a number 8. So we'll go into that meeting.
Heads are going to roll.
Difficult conversation.
No, it's just about, I'm really big.
700,000 views.
yeah. I'm really big on failing fast.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we've got where we are by not trying to push the boundaries and not trying throw a lot of shit at the wall and we see what sticks, right?
Yeah.
Very realistic to think that, especially with YouTube long form, we've still got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
So, I'd actually generally rather 8 or a 9 out of 10 than a 5, right?
So you'd rather an extreme rather than just sitting in the middle.
Yeah. It's really clear. Okay, there's heaps of stuff that we can clearly improve on.
Yeah.
And then if we get a 1, it's like, all right, cool. What did we do? Why did this video hit so well?
Yeah.
And how do we kind of...
What's the video? Have you done something where you didn't expect it to work, or you were like, oh, it's a bit beige or whatever, and then it just goes bunter?
Yeah.
Is there something in particular that you were like, why?
I did a... I'm religious on when we post.
Yeah.
I never miss a post date. I think that comes from cooking. There's always food cooking, right? You always make service. So, but every now and then you're stretched and you're like, we need a video. Let's just,
Make a video.
Yeah. So there was one week we had a video in the bank. So we always usually have a video to sit in there in case something goes wrong.
Yeah.
We were traveling, something went wrong. We had to kind of pull this video out. So I was shooting in the Kilcoy test kitchen and I just had a rump, like a whole rump. And I broke it down. This is how you feed a family of 4 times with a whole rump.
Yeah.
And I was like, publish. I was like, ugh, and it just went mental.
Why? Because you're thinking boring.
I think you're boring.
Every day.
Yeah. And then the amount of times,
Very technical.
guys that look like you walk up to me and go, do you know how many times I've watched that video?
Yeah.
Because they just put it on their iPad on the counter
Yeah.
and they go down to their local wholesale butcher and they buy a rump and they pull it apart.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We had
They
friends
feel-
sending us videos of their partners
Doing
breaking
that.
down this rump. So
That's cool.
yeah.
That's good.
That's awesome. I think that's the kind of stuff where, and again, that's real.
Yeah.
Like real people using it, for
Adding
good.
value.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a funny place. We do long format. There's a lot of recipes on there, and then Andy will break it up with something a little bit more technical. So he did one where it is cooking, I think 9 or 10 different condiments, and some of these condiments took a couple of days to create. And so you're thinking, oh, no one's going to watch or make this, and they do the best because one, there's not that much content about it out there, and it's super niche. These are videos for a lot of his audience are hobby, what you could say a hobby cook. They're there on the weekend. They want to spend an entire day.
Yeah.
But they're usually
working
the
on
real
their
passionate
craft.
ones too, right?
Absolutely.
You look at these
Passionate.
barbecue smoking guys, like they're obsessed.
Yeah, and they want to learn new skills and then show their new skills to their friends and family, and they watch YouTube.
Yeah. Well, it's like the answer for most things these days.
Yeah.
Like,
YouTube it.
I was something recently. I don't know how to. There it is.
Yeah.
Right there. There's 40 videos.
Yeah.
So it's like which one do I want to choose? But that becomes that it is purely instructional.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that I love about your videos, that you've got both, or it's not just one thing. It's like if someone wants to nerd out and look at the primary cuts of an animal, then sure, we can do that. Or if you just want to watch you guys make some koftas on the barbecue out the back, whatever, you can do that as well. I think that's kind of unique.
Yeah.
And where do you drag your inspiration from, guys? Like, is there somebody that you follow and you go, oh, that's a cool idea, we should do something similar? Or is there anyone that you like religiously watch?
Not really, to be perfectly honest. I think as far as watching stuff, I draw inspiration from everything. I've got a pretty broad spectrum of experience. So I'm pretty comfortable with most cuisines. Well, no, that's not true. I'm pretty comfortable in Southeast Asia, pretty comfortable in Western. But then it's just inspirations. My mate Matt Lambert says inspiration is everywhere.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll be driving down the road, listening to an Action Bronson song, and he'll talk about saganaki, and I'll be like,
yeah,
all right,
I'm gonna make
let's
that
do a saganaki
today.
dish. Someone will request something. They'll say, "Oh, Andy, I'd love to know how to make a proper veal stock."
Yeah.
All right, cool. We'll make a video on that.
Cool.
So it just depends. Yeah.
Well, your audience, mate, they're going to be there, as you said at the start. They're vocal, right? They'll tell you if you're shit. They'll tell you if you're good.
Yeah.
So lean into the good stuff.
Yeah.
That's great.
How we going? Good. Excellent. Data. We keep checking. What's next?
Great question.
There's many a thing.
I was going to say without breaking any NDAs.
I think I have about without outside of brand deals, I think I have about 5 projects on at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so we obviously have the Sydney studio, so that's a big part. Moving to Sydney, which will mean also new recruitment as well and expanding the team there. We launched some products a couple of months ago now. One in particular did really well, which was the protein press or the burger smasher.
Really?
Yeah, it's funny. We didn't know how that product would do because we felt it was extremely niche.
Yeah.
But that's why it kind of went so well.
Where did we get it from? I think the only time I've seen that, Josh Nyland's got
Josh
one.
Nyland.
Yeah.
That's the only
Yeah.
other time I've seen that.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing happened with him. He did the same thing and it went really well. 'Cause
Yeah.
Like fish press and a burger press makes more sense to me. Sorry.
Well, we got it as a protein press.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Again,
you know,
opening up to everyone.
Yeah.
Safely.
So we're working on, I guess, the next drop of that range of merch or products. We've got another product business that, well, actually no, 2 product businesses that we're chatting about.
The goal was to not have to do brand deals would be nice.
Yeah.
Now we're a long way off from that.
What does that look like? What does that mean? Is it you're generating enough revenue through other means to not have to sign up with partners? That's,
And building our own brands.
Yeah.
And building brands that we're proud of.
Yeah.
You know, like not just putting Andy Cooks on a t-shirt and flogging 100,000. I'm not interested in that stuff.
Yeah.
If someone wants to buy something from us to help support the channel, then it needs to be useful.
And good quality.
And good quality.
Yeah. Because you'll sell it once and then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Needs to play into the experience of Andy Cook's channel. And ultimately, you know, that's what we're in here for, is creating great experience. Just like any hospitality business, right? Here for the experience.
It's hard, but
that is the game though.
Yeah.
We just opened a new restaurant in Brisbane last week and there's some very positive comments that came out about it. And all of us just like, because now the pressure just goes up.
Yeah.
As soon as someone says, "Oh, it's actually really good," it's like, "Oh God."
Hong Kong dumpling place. Oh,
yeah, Central Brisbane.
Central. I was looking because I did see your story there. I was looking at maybe going for
It looks cool, doesn't it?
Christmas dinner.
We'll talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
know somebody?
Yeah, nice little PDR.
Okay.
So,
Perfect.
but I mean, that's the thing, is that expectation. It's the same with you guys. Like every video, it's like there's an expectation now of the quality of what it is and everything else. And you mentioned earlier, like your diversity and skill set in terms of cooking. Is there anything that makes you nervous? Is there anything where you're like, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that, or pastry?
Yeah. Just classic savoury chef, and I just like, it's like my nemesis, you know. And you know, every now and then I would be like, oh, you know, Mitch, the videographer, we're going to do like a lemon tart, and he's just like, oh, not really, like, this is going to go wrong, you know.
Has there been any catastrophic fails?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
How much doesn't make it?
Oh, not much doesn't make
You posted one not long ago. What was that? I was saying
We failed the cannoli.
Oh, the
cannoli, that's right.
I mean, totally understand that.
Yeah, but I'm a big fan of that, of actually posting my
Yeah,
mistakes.
wearing like a badge of honour. I reckon it's cool as.
Yeah.
Just
You're
trying
not
to teach
perfect.
people that it's not, you know,
You're not perfect at everything.
Yeah.
So it's good to see. And you'll do another video on it. And
Yeah.
Prove that.
Get it
so.
right.
It's more content, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Version 2.
Yeah. At the end game, have you got something that you really want to achieve, like an ambition that you like? So when I do that, I'll be like, tick that box. I'll be so stoked.
I'm pretty ambitious,
Yeah.
right, in general. So, I think, like we've talked about, like media's changing, but you know, I think TV's kind of, you know, we get offered TV deals every now and then. We've kind of said no to them all so far because it doesn't make sense for us. You know, like talking about numbers before. On average, we'll do anything from 150 to 250 million views a month. There's no TV show in the world doing that, right?
No.
So
Seinfeld reruns, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to pull myself away from what we do to do that.
Yeah.
But it does feel like there's kind of a rite of passage at some point. It's just going to be the right thing.
Yeah.
About to start another cookbook, so you know I do enjoy writing cookbooks, which is kind of crazy because I'm like this crazy dyslexic who can hardly spell his own name, but I think I like the medium.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a real legacy in cookbooks. And if you go on someone, you know, like a cookbook writer I really look up to, like Ottolenghi, who's written dozens of incredible cookbooks. If I had a legacy like that, I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah.
And I think just kind of grow the Andy Cooks brand to the point of being, you know, globally known as someone that people can turn to for inspiration and generally helping people to cook better food.
How many times have you been offered a restaurant?
None actually. People
Really?
ask all the time.
They asked for collaborate on menus.
Collaborate on menus. But, and every now and then I kind of look at Caitlin and I go, well, let's do a restaurant. And she just puts her hand in her head,
Not yet.
Girl.
Passion project, right?
Yeah. So I'll do a restaurant when I can afford to lose the money.
You can kick the shit out of you. You can kick the shit out of the passion, I tell you.
Keep the shit of everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And that's, as soon as you said the cookbook thing, I was just thinking what you're creating is a digital version of that anyway, right? So it's like, because, like you go on the YouTube channel now, you can go back and there's X amount of years worth of stuff on there. So it's almost, one of the things for me when I taste wine, I still manually taste and write notes and everything else. And it's like, God, I wish I could put it digital, do it digitally so that I can then search it. Because now I've got to like literally go through my most recent book, and there's always that recency bias based on what I've just tasted in the last 6 months. Or 3 months is in that book. Prior to that, it's in another book. It's now sitting at home.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's got to be a way to digitize that for me. And there are people that taste and like this, but it's just like, for me, I just need to, I want the pen and paper and that kind of thing.
But you can get the iPads with the the stylus pen or whatever, and it turns your writing into digital notes.
Jesus, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the best.
So
You're right. And
still writing.
emails it into a PDF.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a Luddite, but that
changed
changed like a
Zash's
bit of a
life.
stretch.
Yeah.
It's changed Zash's
Yeah,
life.
because I just write
I
notes
don't
and
have
go
Zasha.
send, and then she goes,
Yeah.
It's so good. It's the best.
But I think that again, and there are people again, they're doing it where they're creating the digital content and then bring it back to analog.
Yeah.
Which is, and cookbooks are something that I think will live until the end of time.
Me too.
For that reason, I can't imagine how many cookbooks you've got sitting on your shelf at home. I'm sure the same for you guys. Where
I love them so much.
Exactly, and they all mean something. Like they were gifted by someone, or you
Yes.
had that one dish, or you went to that restaurant, or whatever it may be. And there's always that memory there. That means that I think that there's something kinesthetic about that see-touch feel of a cookbook that I don't think will change.
Yeah, absolutely. Most things we do are digital, right? So it is nice for, someone to buy a physical piece of Andy's recipes. I mean, our strategy is always put content and put recipes out there for free.
Yeah.
You can go to our website. There's hundreds of recipes on there. But if you do want a tangible product of, Andy's recipes, then that option is there as well. Because people consume content differently.
Absolutely.
And I don't think everyone is cooking from all their cookbooks that they have at home. But you're right. It's a memory. It's a feeling. There's some sort of attachment to
Absolutely. I mean, I know I've got cookbooks and I've never opened.
Yeah.
Someone's either given me as a gift or I've bought them going, I'm going to, and then it's just like, but I don't want to get rid of them.
No.
Yeah.
There's no way I want to get rid of that book.
Yeah, I'm sure you got wine like that as well.
100%. Well, there's
How many
someone I want to
bottles?
get rid of. So we don't talk about numbers, Kaitlin.
I thought this was a number two.
It was for you. It's a one-way thing. So. It's actually funny. I actually don't have that much wine.
No.
Is that like me thinking that I only 200 million views isn't that much?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I know.
A few thousand bottles.
No, I think over time I've realised as well that I'm not really a collector. I've got bottles that I will keep, and again, they're generally for you. Like my Vintech at home, those bottles in there are things that do mean something. Someone's given them to me, or they've been about a certain place or a vineyard, or whatever it may be. And I'm kind of fortunate that I've got those kind of bottles in there. But I don't. I'm not a hoarder of wine.
It is fun, but if you got going to a dinner party to walk into a bottle shop and choose something for the day, and night, depending on how you're feeling, I think that's fun.
And then conversely, I love the idea of like going to my Vintech and pulling out something that's 20 or 30 years old as well. I was looking at some photos last week, and I was like, geez, what did we drink that night? And this is from, I don't know, let's say 8 years ago or 9 years ago, photos that are still accessible. And I'm like, oh God, that's right. I drank those 3 bottles of wine from 1994, and this is why, and this is who I was with, and that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah,
Again, it's that experiential thing. It's got nothing to do with the booze.
No, it's the stories around
It's just exactly, and it's always about the people, the place, the time, the food, everything that comes around it. And that's the stuff for me that hopefully there's a couple of those bottles that are in that Vintech will get pulled out in those kind of situations, and not at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're looking for another drink. It's just like, and we've all been there. I know people, Alan Hunter, good on you for Burgundy, but people that will open bottles at the wrong time. It's just like that's not the time to drink it. Right?
I've walked out of my living room just going, you
what have I
fucking
done?
idiot. I do not even remember any part of that. And now it's literally gone.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that you can't put that genie back in the bottle.
No.
At all, which is good or bad. I suppose.
Luke Stringer did it to me at my place.
Everyone's had an experience
Thanks,
of that
Luke.
happening. There's anyway.
No, don't, fucker.
Hold him accountable. Just send him an invoice or whatever it is. So, so all these projects that are going on right now, is there something that you're like, that's the juice? There's something that you're really excited about? You don't have to tell us what it is, but is there something?
Oh, it's all pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I think the probably forefront is building the studio.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, you know.
It's a big deal, right?
Big
Especially
deal.
trying to do it from Queensland.
So does that mean moving to Sydney for you guys as well?
We'll keep our place here, but
Yeah.
we'll effectively be spending more of our time down there than here.
Yeah.
But, 400 square meters, we'll have 2 sets, so a domestic set and a commercial-ish looking set. So one, test kitchen, I guess, and then one domestic set. For a long time, I was really passionate about doing content in the home always.
Yeah,
I think it adds a level of familiarity and, authenticity.
Rawness.
But
Yeah.
the work-life balance is just,
Yeah.
it's just getting too much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're just,
Which makes sense.
Yeah,
and
and not everyone wants to come and work from someone else's home,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
true.
we want to provide the people that work for us a proper workplace.
Actual office.
Yeah.
Of sorts. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, every one of our bedrooms, except for our main bedroom, is an office for someone. So, but it would be nice just to.
I can't work from
separate it.
home either. Like productivity for
stand
me
it.
is shithouse if I'm at home.
Yeah,
Like, I've got to get out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's it's phases. I did it for such a long time, but it also then it just elongates your day generally. So it's like
Oh,
there's no
never ends.
right. That's my finite start and stop, and I think that's can be good and bad. Depending on the individual as well. Like I have days where it's like that's really good that I can sort of just weave things in across other things, and that's where I suppose where working from home, regardless of the industry, can work if people do that. It's that just a photo last week of there was 2 girls sitting on the beach in Bondi.
Yeah,
with
that's
their
right.
laptops out.
Yeah.
Probably a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
Good on you for having a crack. But I think that it can be blurred, and I think that's where when you have that blurriness, it can't last forever either. So.
Yeah, especially for Andy. I feel like I'm pretty good at logging off at 7 p.m., but you log off right before bed.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll go right through.
And then you're checking the numbers first thing in the morning as soon as you wake
first
up.
thing.
Yeah.
Is it literally bang phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Although I think while we can't really schedule a day to have off, we find hours in the day. So gym in the morning, and we go to 2 different gyms. That's us time. So it's like have a 2-hour block basically to gym, and I walk the dog and all of that.
Do not disturb. Just
Do not disturb.
everyone,
Like
And I'm
it's
pretty
just
religious
our
about it.
time.
Yeah.
My day doesn't start till 9 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm up at 5. My day doesn't start till 9, and I don't care who it is or what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like I'll leave my home at 9. So
That's cool.
if someone's like, oh, can we have a meeting at 8? It's like no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's also saying no. It's a skill. Both choosing when to say it and also how to say it as well.
Yeah.
I think that's really critical as well, because you can say no and then that's it, or
Yeah.
no, but
Yeah.
I think we had that conversation. It's
Yes.
like, well, let's go a little bit later because we generally shoot a little bit earlier, or we have in the past. So it's
Yes.
but it doesn't bother. Like it's not a big
Yeah.
deal. It's like cool, no
You
worries,
can
we'll
work
work
through
around
it.
that. Of course, it's a half an hour. If you're like,
Yeah.
oh, we only shoot at 2 a.m. It's like, hang on a second. Different conversation. But
Yeah.
I think that ability to say no is a skill, particularly in Hospo, that we're not great at, because we're sort of people pleasers as well.
Yeah,
where,
absolutely.
come on in. Yeah, no, we'd love to have you. And it's like, couldn't think of anything worse. But it's like, no, we have to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, saying no. There could be a whole episode in that.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
absolutely.
time. The merch thing is something that I'm really interested in for you guys. And you mentioned earlier that you got another drop coming, and I think that what is next with that kind of thing has a massive impact, like you said, in terms of generating revenue that's not necessarily specific to someone else paying for it, if that makes sense. It's actual people that are supporting you and supporting the brands.
Yep.
How do you start that? Like, where do you go, right, I need a protein press?
It probably started a year ago. Maybe,
Yeah.
and we've just launched the first lot. So making kitchenware products is really hard. Manufacturing stuff's really hard. So it's a separate business, and it's a joint venture between myself and my brother and his wife. So we're lucky that we've kind of brought them on board so that they can, PJ, my brother, runs that business full time. It doesn't make any money yet, but there's a long-term play in that. It's not something, it's not a cash cow. It's not nothing like that. It's not us trying to just flaunt products for no reason and make money. We want to build a genuine kitchenware business that.
But I don't think there's a problem in that. You know, like if you're filling the gap in the market because you can't buy protein press anywhere and it's good quality and you're standing behind it, why not?
Yeah.
If you can make some money out of it, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I reckon.
Oh, the
I
goal
think
is to
people
make
frown
money,
down
but-
upon that. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I think there's a great market there.
I think the quality thing is the critical thing as well, right? There's
Definitely.
historically been plenty of chefs that have put their name on stuff, and you're like,
whoa, what?
well, okay, you know, same thing with. I remember furniture years ago, buying furniture from someone who recommended it, who was on TV on some home and garden show. And it's like, that is the shittest piece of furniture I've ever bought in my entire life.
Yeah, I think we've all been led
So
down.
I mean, that's kind of in the back of your mind, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, this could be turned to shit real quick.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just it's a sort of really expensive business to get into.
Yeah.
You know, because you know, cash flow, like all businesses, unlike in a restaurant, you know, it doesn't happen until the products have landed. You know, so
the outgoings
are massive.
Minimum order quantities are generally pretty big. You can't just get like 6 of them. You got to get 6,000 of them.
And that's to do it in the way that we're doing it, which is, you know, we want customization, we want good quality.
Yeah.
There are merch brands that will come and they hit up your
labels.
inbox and basically say, hey, we'll manage your merch for you. We'll slap your logo on a t-shirt and on hoodies and all of that. So there's no upfront cost to you, and then you'll just get a percentage of the revenue.
Yeah.
That is an okay way to do it. You know, and there are some creators and some audience who generally just want a hoodie with that creator's name. They just want to feel part of the community. That is what part of these merch products are
and
about.
if it's AS colour and $30, that's fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, we all have that t-shirt.
Yeah,
So we
I'm
bought it
literally
from
wearing
someone.
it right now.
But the way that we did it is we want the customization, high quality. We want to do as much of it ourselves because we just want to learn, one, the e-commerce side, but also the supplier, manufacturing, all of that. So it's an expensive and it's a long route to go down, but it's a long play for us. So we can really understand cookware products and materials.
Because the deeper we go on it, the more you understand how broken that system is.
Really?
Yeah. From materials, you know, and I think we just need to dial it back.
As in, you mean like raw materials or?
Yeah, you know, like
materials that are being
used.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
In cookware.
In cookware. Yeah.
You meaning pots and pans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there something in particular we're talking about?
You know, watch the Teflon doc and the Teflon movie and stuff, right? So those chemicals are still being used in, you know.
So I think that the reason that, you know, the non-stick pan has become so synonymous is because you can buy them for $20 from Coles or Woolies, right? And then after 6 months, you just toss them out.
100%.
And I think we need to, and you know, forgetting all that stuff that Caitlin just talked about, which is a big thing to unpack, which is why I'm being sheepish around it because I don't really want to unpack it.
It's a big conversation.
The big conversation. I think
not that I'm picking up on that at all. Or the reason I asked that question again. But anyway,
I think just that you know that single-use mentality we have to change. You know, we have the technology to make really good, well-designed kitchenware that you know you buy and is works for generations.
I was going to say, and I'll hand it down. I mean, we've got a pot at home that was Jen's grandmother's.
Yeah.
You know, little pan, and you know, but it's cast iron. It's solid. It sits there, and it's like that is not going anywhere at all. You know, there's a certain French brand that I tend to love using. I don't have a lot of it because it's fucking expensive, but that stuff is good and will last forever.
Yeah.
For 15 years, I've got a journey. Every single time I can afford it, I brought a new copper pan. Yeah. And now I've got a full set of copper pans.
Yeah.
And they'll be there in 200 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's there, and they're such a joy to work with.
So,
absolutely. And it's not about replacing everything and going out and buying a 10-piece set. You're right. It's about buying one pan at a time that you can afford it.
And look after it, and it looks it looks like the day that I brought it.
Yeah.
So
there's something nice about when they don't look like the day you bought it as well.
Yeah,
like,
the
it's
patina.
cast on.
Yeah.
This thing's 1,000 years old, and it's cooked. You know, and if you get really sort of, I suppose, what's the word? I don't know. There's something nice about having that history in that pan. It's like thousands of meals have been made by 50 different people on that same pan. It's like that's cool as shit.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to like, you know, 2-cent aluminium one that's, you know, been pressed and is horrible and everything else. But anyway,
it's like
I hope you're not doing aluminium, but anyway.
the Rice Boy Conroe. All you got to do is picture how much pork that thing's barbecued.
Yeah.
How much have you barbecued on there, Corey? Thousands of pieces.
Yeah.
But there's something in that. It's like there is. Yeah, I love the sound of that. I think that sounds great because we are very much throwaway, right, in everything that we do. So,
and congratulations, because that must be so hard to say no, especially when it's coming at you left, right, and centre. because you've been so successful.
Yeah.
That's hard to say no and, you know, keep that sort of philosophy tight.
Yeah, it is hard, especially with the money, and even with, I think, saying no for being protective of your time. You know, Andy's time is so limited, and there's all these fabulous events that we could go to, but what's more important, like your own mental health and just putting your head down and focusing on, you know, achieving the goals that you want to, or going to that party that some brand's putting on.
How do you categorize it? Like, is there a like, you get all these proposals that get sent to you. Is it like, have you got, like I always say, for me at the moment in my stage of my life, I go, if it's not fun, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. And it's hard because you think that how can opening a restaurant be fun? But I still get such a buzz out of it from the moment we start thinking about an idea to the day the restaurant opens. It's fun for me. But I've always said, I want to get to the stage of my life where fun is the most important driver of it, and that's got to be the number one reason why. And then all these other little things have got to add up for me to do it. But because I'm the same, I'm a father of 3 young kids at home. It's like, you know, an hour for me is so important. So I've got a categorised system that kind of works really well for me. Is it the same for you guys?
Pretty much, yeah. Now, especially with the event side, I'm not super interested in going to parties and stuff anymore. So
we prioritize.
I would avoid. Yeah. Sorry, no offense. Please invite me.
We prioritize platform events, so YouTube, Meta, and then our brand partner events. Like, that's really important to us. Those relationships are really important. Everything else, it doesn't matter. Like, yes, there are good events for networking, but there's also plenty of opportunities for networking.
But like, do you need to network? Are you at that point where it's like, what are you bringing?
It's always good to meet different people. To be honest, I think the best conversations you've had of just walking into a restaurant, we're having lunch, and someone's on another table, and you meet them that way.
I've had some of the most amazing, you know, interactions just sitting at the bar at Gimlet, you know, with just the most random people.
You know, that makes sense. And that's the thing, is like, they're the fun bits. I imagine, you know, for you guys as well. When, you know, we talk about, you know, that idea of being recognised or anything else, but it's being, if you can sit down with someone, it must be weird though, the fact that they think they know you as well.
Yeah, the what was it, parasocial relationship? Is that what they call it?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think it's
parasocial.
Which is strange, because you don't know, because people come up to you. There's a guy in London, I remember clearly. I was walking down the street and I wasn't actually feeling particularly well, to be perfectly honest. I think I was on the back end of COVID, and I was just walking down the street, like just trying to get some fresh air. And this guy's just like, Andy, you know, like, and I hadn't been in London in years, but I thought I did live in London for a long time. And I thought, oh, this must be someone I know.
Yeah.
You know, slap hands, big hug. And I'm like,
and you don't want to be rude and go.
Don't want to be rude. And then at the end he goes, you know, just, I've been a follower since the day one. And I was like, I don't have a barney rubble. This guy is just like.
He is nobody.
He is.
Yeah.
Which is, but awesome at the same time.
Yeah. But it's just weird. So you have this weird conversation with someone. I just smacked your mic, sorry about that. You know, with someone who thinks that you know, you're their best friend, and you're just like, I have no idea this guy's name. Let alone.
But
he's basically been living in your living room for the last 5 years. I don't know what he's been.
Exactly. And obviously socials are a thing where, and I think it's different. I suppose for you guys, it's a business as well, right? It's first and foremost, that's what it is. But that idea, I remember years ago, and someone go, "Oh, you were just in XYZ," or, you know, and like, for me, it's like, are you seriously filming with these guys? And I'll send you a message or whatever it may be. But the idea that people do think they know you and that they tell you about your life when they meet you, it's just like, what's happening right now? It's just like, oh, you know, how was Melbourne? It's like, how did you know I was in Melbourne? It's like, oh, fuck, that's right, I posted it.
Yeah,
whatever it may
literally.
be. But now, like, certainly for me, and I have 11 followers, but I just don't care about posting anymore as well, like, because it's not part of my current business, you know. It's like, we post off obviously for this channel and for different bits. Pretty much my feed at the moment is just this.
Thanks, Ash.
Because it's like, oh yeah, she's very good at that. But I also just don't have the time, and I'm not doing stuff that it's just like, my time is my time more so now than it's ever been. So that quiet time away from work or away from whatever, I don't need to tell people about it.
No.
And we're the same, you know, like we post a lot of our life. We don't post it all. You know, and there's a lot of it that I don't post, and I don't want people to know, you know. I stopped using Strava and stuff like that because no one needs to know where I'm running. You know, like
that stuff's weird. There was that one in the US where someone through Strava data worked out where there was a military base that no one knew about.
Because they're just running around.
It was like circles, like there's like 100 users all doing the same thing because they're just doing, they're just like parading or marching around this thing. It's like, holy shit.
And then even to the point now where if I'm in a restaurant that I'm enjoying, I'll take photos and I want to support that restaurant. You know, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm happy to post about it. I'm not a food reviewer. I'm not like anything like that. I'll post them once I've left. Because
get bombarded.
You do it there, and then all of a sudden someone's at the table. I saw you post this. It's
and you become more conscious of tagging people in your stories
friends
as well.
And family.
I used to, you go camping or you go to a baby shower, you take a photo with your friends, you tag everyone. I don't do that anymore because I don't want, and I don't have that many followers, nothing compared to him. But I don't want the people who are following me because they love Andy and they love what we've got just going on and stalking all my friends.
Yeah. Which they will do, though. That's the thing, right?
My sister, every time she's
15 million of them coming in.
I reshared a story that my sister, tagged me in, and she was like, who are these people that started? And it was mainly all males that just started following her. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like, you get to a point where there's two sides to this, I suppose. There's one is like, no, I can't post that, or it's not, I shouldn't post that, which is a horrible thought. Then the other side of that is thinking in posts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like I used to definitely, like, it doesn't matter what was going on in my life. I'm like, what does that look like as a post? It wasn't a conscious thought. It was literally an unconscious thought of what the spiel's going to be with that photo or whatever it may be. And it's just, I find that, like, for me at the time, it was like, that's not good. My brain is now wired in a way that's thinking about what the post's going to be, not am I enjoying this and thinking about being in the moment with those people or that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. I feel like I do so much less of that now. I barely do it anymore because I'm so conscious. And you do, you're like, oh, actually, I just want to put my phone down and I just want to enjoy that moment. Or, you're going to, a festival or to see someone play, like, don't be so hyper-focused on capturing it on your phone.
Because you're not going to watch it.
No.
It's
like amazing when you go and you see that.
How many photos of fireworks have you got on your phone? It's just like, no one's going to watch that again. No one will ever watch that again. I think similar thing with concerts.
Absolutely.
It's really quite yuck in a restaurant now, but when you sit back and you watch and you'll see, I don't know how many couples there, but they've all got their phone in front of them.
Well, we were at, what was that restaurant called in London? Oh,
which one?
I've forgotten the name. The one... Nice restaurant. Anyway, it was...
Akoya?
No. It was like a Michelin restaurant, biggest Asian menu. It was while the Olympics was on. We sat down, 10 courses, really nice, really beautiful food. This is why I feel bad. I'm not giving them a plug. But anyway, there was a couple next to us, and the guy had his iPad out watching the Olympics.
Oh,
and I was just like,
right.
what? This isn't, they weren't at Nando's, right? This is an expensive meal.
That's still aggressive in
Nando's. Just order Uber Eats and watch the Olympics. Like, why are you at
the
this?
Stecker, Sydney, have you been there?
No.
The Stecker, you got to put your phone in a box at the front.
Yeah, I support that.
I like that.
And
I really like
there's
that.
a rule around, don't quote me on this, but it's the first person to get up to either make a phone call or check your phone, you've got to pay the bill. And they're really religious about it. But it's amazing when you sit there and you see all the people in there dining. No phones. It's really refreshing,
We used to have a group of professional poker players used to come into one of the restaurants I owned, and they would put all their phones in the middle of the table at the start. There's generally 4 or 5 of these guys. They'd put them all in the middle of the table, and whoever touched their phone first, that was it. That was and then if no one touched it at the end, they'd make us basically choose a phone. Got to pay the bill. But one got dutted like 6 times in a row. I don't know. We weren't doing it on purpose, but it's like, that's not chance.
That's a good way to do it. It's just a habit for a lot of us, right? You just...
That's what I like about the beach, your phone stays in the car all day. Your kids are in the water. It's so much fun. It's just refreshing.
What's and as a golfer, one of the things I enjoy about golf on a Saturday, apart from, well, I don't enjoy it at the moment because I can't hit the ball, but is that 4.5, 5 hours that's just do not disturb. It's like, don't come near me. That's just what it is, And again, I think for where I'm sort of at in my life, it's like I generally don't need to be called with any kind of urgency. I'm not putting out a fire. At all, it's like, I can't find a bottle of wine. That's okay. It's going to be all right.
That's my life ambition.
I
can feel the heat coming off my phone. It's down here right now.
Go back to 4,000 messages. So, downtime. What does downtime actually look like when you do get some? Is it eating and drinking? Is it going out? Or is it? It's not filming, surely. But...
No, it's not filming. I mean, for me, it's the 2 hours in the morning that I train, which that's my downtime and my thinking time. And then eating out.
Yeah, well, go for a lunch or a dinner maybe once every 2 weeks, like on the coast, or if we're in Sydney. Well, that is nice because it's just an hour. You know, we usually end up talking about business anyway, but at least it's still a little bit.
How do you guys deal with that? Like, do you sort of go, hey, we can't talk about this tonight, or
Not really.
We're not at that stage yet.
No.
I'm sure we'll get there, but we're both still very caught up in what this business is and everything.
Right?
It's
really
brand new, it's exciting, so we both want to talk about that. But we also, I think our downtime is usually our own thing. So I'm a big reader, so I'll just pick up a book and I can just sit for 3 hours and read, and that's just my space away from stop thinking about everything else. I think you'll watch the F1 or
or just cast off in general. Just a bit
watch
of
some other
bit of a picture
YouTube.
read. So
Is there a car that hopefully one day
of course
is there? What is it?
F40, Ferrari F40.
Ferrari F40.
Yeah, that's the one day.
Okay.
One day.
I've got a Jazz. We're going to take that to the They're pretty similar, I think.
yeah.
Oh no, actually they're not. Right. That's a serious car.
It's a serious car, yeah.
So have you always been a car head?
Yeah.
It's always been your thing?
Always been into petrol, yeah. Always, my best mate growing up was a big Formula One guy, and I think just always enjoyed cars and motorbikes and stuff. And yeah. You know, what's that saying? You know, like, you'll know if I've made it, but you won't know if I've made it. There'll be some, I'll dress the same and everything, but there'll probably be some nice cars. Yeah.
Garage full of cars and motorbikes.
Oh, I'm not that into like show poding them. Like, I won't be driving my Lamborghini down Malilibut main strip, but
Who did I speak to the other day? They said to me, I told them that you were coming on. They're like, oh, yeah, I've seen him getting around in his G-Wagon. And it was funny when you came in this morning. I'm like, isn't it funny how people, like people's perception of, you know, like it's quite funny. The Sunshine Coast is so, it's
amazing.
Like
Yeah.
It's been very good to me.
I was going to say, I'd be very careful what your
the
next sentence
difference,
is.
But it goes from this to this. It's like,
But it's also there's that like thing where it's like, again, tall poppy thing where people just want to take the piss out of you because you're successful. Do you think you're successful? Do you? No,
far from it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What defines success for you then?
Exactly.
He doesn't know.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever feel like I'm successful.
You've got the F40 in the garage. Is that not successful?
No. I don't think so.
Okay.
Like, and that's a serious
Give
acquisition.
me a call and I'll tell you that you're successful. I've got it parked in your garage.
But on that, I think it is. You probably do have people telling you are.
Oh yeah.
Like all the time, right? Like you won YouTube Creator of the Year for last year for Australia, which is epic, by the way. You know, that's a point where it's like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're saying we're not successful yet, that says something, I think, about you.
Yeah, I don't think I ever will. I don't think that journey ever ends.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's in me. So I think at some point I'll probably take my foot off the gas. But I don't think that's in the next 10 or 15 years.
By hearing that, I reckon that you've got such a long career in it because of that. I reckon that's just like, you know, you've got so much motivation if you're not.
Yeah.
You know, like it's funny in restaurants because there's no end game unless you go, I'm building this empire up to sell it. Yeah. And then the sell is the crescendo. But you know, it's interesting that the business you guys are in, it's like, how far do you go? How long? You could be still doing the same thing in 50 years.
Absolutely.
You know, and still be, you know, killing it.
I think one of the things that I respect greatly about both of you is the fact you're doing it with time, you're doing it with thought. You're not doing what probably a lot of people do, which is get excited. And I think, you know, every decision you're making, and we've spoken about this, is that idea of like, it's got to be for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to make sense for both of you. It's got to make sense for the brand. It's not just, let's just take the whatever it is, phenomenal amount of money from someone because they want us to sell baby formula or whatever it is. So I think that is longevity as well, not just grabbing the next thing because it's there.
Yeah. And the audience is smart. Like, if you're pushing products that make no sense, they're not idiots and they're going to switch off, you know? They are there to watch food content. We try to sell a product outside of that.
I think authenticity is so important in this game. You know, and the moment that you become unauthentic, they know real quick. So that's just the forefront of what we do. You know, it's not, yes, we talk about numbers and I obsess over them. But it's like authenticity before numbers. Right. What's the goal? Like, what's the page goal? What's the page's goal? What's, you know, and the goal is just to inspire people to eat better food.
Yeah. Which I think is a pretty good goal to have.
Fantastic. The YouTube award that you just won, is that who's some of the people that have won that award previous to you? Have you anyone that would like...
It's probably, I don't know in the future.
Yeah.
Laserbeam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he's won that previously.
Because the space must be so competitive now.
Yeah,
like, it
and
must be
a lot of gaming creators.
because that's massive. Right?
Massive.
Is it Switch? Is that what it's called?
He's a
Switch.
He's like a streamer.
Because my kids game
Switch,
and it's like they sit there and watch people watching.
Twitch.
Like I sit back and I go, what the
Twitch,
hell is going on?
Yeah. Twitch
Yeah.
on the Switch.
Yeah, it is pretty wild.
A whole other level.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think they've really done it maybe for a few years.
No.
In Australia,
Right.
at least. So I know Laserbeam, was the previous year.
Yeah.
And then
I think that Youngblood, whatever is that guy's name, is the fishing guy from.
We were talking about that before.
Yeah.
It is cool. As
Yeah.
Brody.
Is he from up here?
No.
Esperance or something.
Oh, is he?
like that.
Similar.
Yeah.
He's got an amazing channel.
There's a
It
lot
is.
of
Yeah.
support for him around here though, because there's a lot
Yeah.
of those stickers are on lots of
Mate,
four-wheel
full driving outdoory community
Right.
here is.
I think he does a bit of content up here as
Oh,
well.
right, okay.
Yeah, brings the crew. I think he's got quite a big crew. It's big.
He
business.
started off with some type of ocean conservation or something like that.
Yeah.
I think how it all started.
Right.
Oof.
Yeah, it's a big
Amazing.
channel.
You up the Double O Point Rainbow Beach, you see the Youngbloods
Everywhere.
stickers on all
Yeah.
the-
Some of that are literally on everything around here. So.
Yeah.
Said Andy Cooks on the back.
Yeah.
On the jazz.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do it. Everything's for sale. Certainly in my jazz it is, that's for sure. Oh, gosh. Let's not talk about the jazz anymore. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Okay.
awesome.
So much.
Be here.
Such a pleasure to have you both here. It's
Absolutely. I reckon we could probably talk for another 6 hours.
cool. Yeah.
No,
I
I
know.
think it's sorry to interrupt. I think it's really cool to see another a podcast pop up on the Sunshine Coast as well, especially in this sort of business hospitality space. Because I think a lot of the business podcasts I listen to are based in like UK or US.
Yeah.
So it's nice to get more homegrown things going.
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I mean, someone said the other day, what's the end goal with this? And I think, for us, certainly it was we just want to get good people on and have a bit of a chat.
Yeah.
And things will come out of that for different people. Like someone might hear one comment that someone said today, someone at this end of the table, not us, that'll really resonate with them. And if we can do that and sort of build a bit of a community around that, then great.
Yeah.
But I think it's about just speaking to good people and having a chat and seeing what everyone's up to, because stories are everything.
They
Yeah,
are.
I agree.
Yeah, there's lots of great ones here. so-
Absolutely, 100%. And I think that you're right. The Sunny Coast is probably a little underdone with that, so it's nice to be able to bring a few people. Give them a
Jen
little
got
bit
a
of
question
platform.
today, mate. Has she let the team
Well, I
know?
kind of I sort of went a bit early about the well, I sort of did, and then did we actually finish
What
that?
was the one that she asked Adriano? Something about no sugar or something.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like
Yeah, should you not
wrong
drink sugar?
person to ask.
Faz, I didn't actually ask the one for Faz, but it was had he met the Dingle dolphin, which the Dingle dolphin was literally a dolphin that lived in Dingle, which is where he was from. It's just one of those things that's so weird. No, what she had for you, which I kind of asked her, was what don't you like cooking? Pastry was kind of the answer there, which
There you go.
I completely understand because I hate
It's
it.
like
as well.
80% of other chefs, right? I force myself to try and like it.
Yeah.
I was never really good at it, but I
But
can
it's
still.
so precise.
Yeah.
That's the bit for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't do that. It's just like
My son's making macarons and
Ooh.
croissants from scratch at home
Oh,
in
That's
spring.
impressive.
That's what I mean. I'm like,
oh,
what the hell is wrong with
he's
you?
a brave
Humidity,
man.
that's-
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
it a cannoli issue? Was it humidity? Surely.
That was just technique, to be honest.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's bad technique.
We might have to cut that out.
That's
Just
what it
shit
is.
cannoli.
Yeah.
Harry. Need to do a cooking with Harry episode.
Oh god. But yeah, thanks. We really do appreciate you guys coming on.
Thanks.
I think, as I said, there's a story there, and we could probably talk for a very, very long
We
time.
can't wait
so-
to see what's next for you guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks
We'll
for having
watch.
us. Yeah, cool.
Thank you.
No
With
worries.
15 million other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I'll still like it. Thanks, guys. Well done.
Thanks.